Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, by the way, President Trump now is addressing the troops in Qatar, U.S. troops stationed at our biggest military base in the Middle East. They are loving it. It is an absolutely phenomenal Mideast tour. We're going to be talking about it either later today or tomorrow, but he's making now deal after deal after deal. And trillions of dollars in investments, trillions. And security deals are now being signed. Truly an historic trip. And they just announced it about an hour ago. They are very close to a deal with Iran on their nuclear weapons program. If he can pull that one off, we're talking the Nobel Peace Prize. So things right now, at least when it comes to Trump and his agenda, it is full speed ahead, winning, winning, winning. The Democrats, not so much. And so, while Trump is racking up victories for the American people abroad, here, the Democrats now are descending into chaos, anarchy, and there's no other way to put it, political thuggery. So, as you know, the Democrats had their version of January 6th recently. The mayor of Newark, Ras Baraka, was arrested for criminally trespassing on federal property when he breached the ICE detention facility in Newark, Delaney Hall, as it's called. There were also 3 members of the New Jersey congressional delegation who were there as well. They then stormed the facility, got into physical altercations. In fact, one of them body slammed an ICE agent. Others, you can see it on tape, pushing, shoving, elbowing, grabbing by the throat. ICE agents refusing to back down as they tried to essentially take over the facility in defense of Ras Baraka, the Newark mayor. Baraka was sent away in custody. He has now been charged with trespassing. The question now is, will the 3 Democrat members of Congress from New Jersey, and the big one is LaMonica McIver, but there's also Bonnie Watson-Coleman and, of course, Bob Menendez Jr. Will they be charged as well for physically assaulting ICE agents? Will they now face possible expulsion from Congress? Will they lose their seats? And will they be looking at real jail time? Kristi Noem, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, and that's where ICE falls under, has now come out and publicly said that they clearly committed felonies. That when you look at the evidence, you look at the video footage, you look at the body cam footage, there is no question about it. No question about it. They stormed that facility. They engaged in illegal criminal behavior. They verbally abused law enforcement, and in particular, they assaulted them and they attacked them. The video doesn't lie. Acting U.S. District Attorney for New Jersey, Alina Habba, former Trump lawyer, has now come out and said they are conducting an official, thorough investigation, her words, not mine, into the actions of these 3 members of Congress. Pressure is now building for her and her office to charge and arrest these Democrats. The Democrat leadership is going absolutely berserk. And what they are now telling Alina Habba, what they're telling the Trump DOJ, what they are telling the Department of Homeland Security, is that if you touch a single Democrat member of Congress, we are going to unleash hell. It is going to be all-out political war, and maybe even worse. Listen now, It's an open threat. They're not even veiling it. It's not even, a veiled threat or an implicit threat. It's now an explicit threat. You arrest LaMonica McIver or Bonnie Watson Coleman or Bob Menendez Jr., and we're going to take it to the streets. Listen now to Alexandria Fidel Castro Cortez. As I said to my wife last night, the only thing missing on her is that beret. She is a Latin American revolutionary Marxist to her core. She loves street violence. She loves the revolution from the streets. And now she's saying, you touch one of ours, you're going to have yourself a problem. Roll cut 12, Mike.
What DHS is trying to say, again, they're using public intimidation because they know that they cannot come for us all. They know that they cannot come for us all. And recently what they said is that DHS is allegedly looking into arresting members of Congress who were showing up for their legal and constitutional obligation to conduct oversight. If anyone's breaking the law in this situation, it's not members of Congress, it's the Department of Homeland Security. It's people like Tom Homan and Secretary Kristi Noem. You lay a finger on someone, on Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman, on Representative, or any of the representatives that were there, you lay a finger on them, we are going to have a problem.
She's a
because
thug.
The people who are breaking the law are the people who are not abiding by it.
She's a thug. I'm telling you, she's a Marxist thug. That's what she is. This is a naked threat to the Department of Homeland Security, an entire agency, frankly, to Kristi Noem, to Pam Bondi, to the DOJ, and to the American people. Now, notice the hypocrisy. I mean, honestly, this is so thick you can choke on it. It's really disgusting. So don't you lay a finger on Bonnie Watson Coleman. Who the hell is Bonnie Watson Coleman? I mean, I know she's a member of Congress, obviously, but she's acting like, I don't know what, like she's the queen or something. Don't you dare lay a finger on her. What about Donald Trump? So let me get this straight. You can arrest a former president of the United States. Not once, not twice, hell, not even 3 times, 4 times. You can sic the FBI to raid his home with guns drawn and go after him with shoot to kill orders. Shoot to kill. And that's not a problem. But you touch one corrupt Democrat member of Congress, you're going to have a war on your hands. This woman, I'm sorry, is absolutely despicable. She's fomenting violence. This is not even a dog whistle. This is a bullhorn. What she's telling her fellow street gangsters, this is a call to arms to Black Lives Matter and Antifa. If they put the handcuffs on either Congresswoman McIver or Bonnie Watson Coleman or Congressman Bob Menendez, then you know what? It's time to start rioting and looting. There's no question about it. There's no question about it. She's inciting violence. And she's trying to nakedly intimidate DHS from making arrests that obviously if it was anybody else, they would have been arrested by now. But it's not just AOC. Listen now, this is the House Minority Leader. This is the Democratic leader in Congress, Hakeem Jeffries. Listen to this. Roll cut 13, Mike.
What happens if they were to go and arrest these members, or if they would try to sanction them during the House of Representatives?
They'll find out.
What would you do?
They'll find out.
What recourse? I mean, but doesn't that broach a...
They'll find out.
Doesn't that go across...
That's a red line.
What's the red line, though? I mean, I know we have this...
It's a red line. It's very clear. I think that the so-called Homeland Security spokesperson is a joke. It's a joke. They know better than to go down that road, and it's been made loudly and abundantly clear to the Trump administration. We're not going to be intimidated by their tactics to try to force principled opposition from not standing up to their extremism. It hasn't happened during the entirety of this failed term. It didn't happen when Donald Trump temporarily was sitting high in the immediate aftermath of the election. Do you think it's going to happen now, when he's the most unpopular president in American history after his first 100 days? Give me a break. No one's intimidated by this dude. No one.
So there you go. He's basically saying we're going to unleash our street thugs. It's a red line. Don't do it. You're going to find out. Don't do it. It's a red line. Basically, they're publicly now threatening. Like a gangster. Again, like as I said, political thugs. Like a mob boss. Don't you do it. We'll bring down Kristi Noem. We'll bring down DHS. We'll bring down the Trump regime. If we have to, we will go to the streets. Now, after this, okay, it's now becoming a game of chicken. And the question now is, who is going to blink first? So you have AOC publicly now defending, to me, this is just incredible, defending the mayor of Newark and these 3 Democrat members of Congress from New Jersey who literally, physically attacked and assaulted ICE agents. It's all caught on camera. Body slamming a female ICE agent. And they're running around saying this is legitimate protest. How dare you try to arrest him? This is part of a fascist takeover. Since when is attacking and assaulting law enforcement and storming an ICE facility, since when is this quote-unquote principled opposition or legitimate oversight? These people are living on a different planet. And it's not going to work because we have the video. We know what happened. We've seen it. The country has been disgusted by what the Democrats did. And now the question is, are these threats going to work? This is now the question. Are they going to work? You've got Hakeem Jeffries saying it's a red line, saying they're going to find out, don't go down that road. He's openly threatening Kristi Noem. He's threatening Trump. He's threatening the Department of Homeland Security. He's threatening Pam Bondi. Now, to me, what are you going to do? Part of it is I'm kind of laughing at Hakeem Jeffries. Really. It's just like, okay, tough guy, you're the House Minority Leader. So what are you going to do? Like, you can't defund anything. Like, what are you going to do? Except flap your mouth. You have no power. You have no authority. But to me, maybe you disagree with me. I want to hear from you. 617-266-6868. To me, it seems that they're calling basically for street violence. That's what it seems like to me. In other words, wink, wink. You go after one of ours, we're gonna call out our shock troops. We've got BLM, we've got Antifa, and you're gonna start to see rioting and looting and protests, and you're gonna have a world of trouble. This is going to be a world of hurt for you. Now, if they do that, I'm telling you, the Democrats are becoming a party of political terrorism. To me, if they want to keep going down this rabbit hole, keep going down this rabbit hole, because then you arrest AOC and you arrest Hakeem Jeffries, because they're clearly now inciting a mob and they're clearly inciting political violence if they continue to go down this road. Am I wrong? Now, the question is, what is the DOJ and ultimately Alina Habba going to do? The acting U.S. District Attorney for New Jersey. She's now come out and said that they are conducting a full and thorough investigation into the actions of these 3 Democrat members of Congress. The big one is, pun intended, the big one is Congresswoman, the body slammer, LaMonica McIver. But, you've got Bonnie Coleman Watson, you've got Bob Menendez. So there's an official investigation. Kristi Noem has come out and said publicly, on the record, she's seen the body cam footage. She goes, felonies were committed. There's no question. She said all 3 members of Congress committed felonies. There's just no question. So what are they going to do? Listen now to Tricia McLaughlin. She is a spokeswoman for the Department of Homeland Security, and she really goes after AOC for supporting these members of Congress who stormed the Newark ICE facility. It was an insurrection. And then attacked and assaulted law enforcement, local police, and of course, federal ICE agents. Roll cut 14, Mike.
I'd like to ask AOC, who does she want out of that detention facility? Is it the MS-13 members? Is it the known terrorists? Is it the child rapists? Is it the murderers? Who is she fighting for? Because she's not fighting for Americans. She's not fighting for American victims. And I'd like to lay out the facts. The fact that it was these 3 members of Congress who trespassed, broke the law, and stormed that ICE detention facility. They put law enforcement at risk. They put our detainees at risk. And they put our staff at risk. Had they asked for a tour, we would have happily facilitated one for them, but there was absolutely no notice. And the fact that they put hands, they body slammed, body rammed, push, shove, whatever you want to call it, it was assault on our ICE agents, and it's unacceptable.
I agree with her. I agree with her completely. And this is the shocking thing. This is what, to me, it's compounding this whole scandal. You are now willing to take it to the streets over MS-13 gangbangers, the detention facility in Newark. If just look it up, don't take my word for it. It is holding the worst of the worst known gangbangers, illegal alien murderers, convicted rapists, some of them literally foreign terrorists. And you weep for them? You want to release them? You want to keep them in the United States? You don't want to deport them? Are you sick? And on top of all of this, you then illegally breach and trespass on an ICE facility? And then when you're finally arrested for it, at least the Newark mayor, these members of Congress, one of them saying, I can touch whoever I want, mother effer. That was the body slammer, McIver, on camera as she's elbowing, grabbing one agent literally by the throat. Pushing, shoving, body slamming. A mini riot broke out. And you're acting that somehow you're above the law? That you can do anything you want with absolute impunity? And instead of saying, this is what I find incredible, it won't happen again, tempers got out of control, we're sorry, let's just let bygones be bygones. No, you're going to have a problem. As AOC said, you touch her, you touch Bonnie Watson Coleman, you touch the body slammer. Okay, you go after McIver, and you're going to have a war on your hands. And you've got Hakeem Jeffries. That's a red line. You better not cross it. I'm telling you, you better not cross it. Yeah, you know what? Now that he drew his dinky red line, cross it. Cross it. I'm telling you. It's time now for Pam Bondi and the DOJ and Alina Habba to say, okay, you want to talk tough? You want to talk smack? This is what you guys, that's all you people have? Fine. All 3 members of Congress, arrest them. Arrest them. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me ask all of you, the incredible audience of Kuhner Country, the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Siding, Roofing, and Windows. Is DHS bluffing when they say they are thinking of arresting Democrat members of Congress who body slammed and attacked ICE agents at the ICE facility in Newark? Is DHS bluffing when they say they're going to arrest these members of Congress? A, yes. B, no. I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner. KUHN is a national ER, wrko.com/Kuhner. Kuhner, Kuhner. As always, you can vote via X, my handle there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, Kuh, N as in national, ER. I just want to play a super quick montage. We're not talking members of Congress now. We're talking about the former president of the United States, who, and by the way, at the time, the leading candidate for re-election. He was leading Joe Biden in every poll, by far. It wasn't even close, obviously. So Donald Trump. So when they arrested Trump and raided his home with guns drawn, with shoot to kill orders, and went after his family, then what did they say? This was their mantra over and over again. Play, this is Joey. This is Joe Biden. Roll cut 100, a mic.
President is not above the law. Justice serves the people. It doesn't protect the powerful. American democracy only works if we choose to respect the rule of law.
We have to uphold the rule of law and restore trust in our institutions of democracy.
Okay, you don't like that one? How about this one? Here's a montage of the media when they went after Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Remember that, when they raided his home and with the guns drawn, the FBI kicking the door down and coming in, and they just went house to house. Room to room to room as they went in there searching for anything under the sun. Roll cut 102, Mike.
It just sends the message that there is no person in this country who's above the law.
What we are seeing here is exactly what should be done. We need to recognize and praise Merrick Garland for following the rule of law.
The message that it sends is really important, that even the former president of the United States can be held accountable and should be and will be.
No one's above the law. But now all of a sudden you want to arrest a couple of Democrats, and especially members of Congress. They're above the law. Don't you do it. As AOC said, we're going to have a problem. Or as Hakeem Jeffries said, that's a red line you don't cross. This is from Ken on Messenger. Good morning, Jeff. Well, good morning to you, Ken. If I physically assaulted a police officer, I would be arrested on the spot, and rightfully so. Arrest their sorry asses. Ken, you're a genius. I agree with you 1,000%. Let me ask all of you. If you assault a law enforcement officer, a police officer, whoever, what do you think? You think there'd be a long investigation? Should we? Shouldn't we? Maybe, maybe not. They would arrest us right there, and rightfully so. There wouldn't be an issue about it. One more, and then I want to go to the phone lines. This is from Dave, our Western PA constitutionalist correspondent, and I think he hit the nail right on the head. Jeff, if they can arrest President Trump, we can arrest these Democrat members of Congress, plain and simple. No one is above the law. Right, Jeff? Bingo, Dave. Daryl in the great state of Georgia. Thanks for holding, Daryl, and welcome.
Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure,
hey,
Daryl.
If you give me a minute to rant, I don't think much is going to come of this, and I'll tell you the reason why I feel that way. Because for so many times, Republicans, when they're out of power, they talk tough and they fundraise off of, when we get in power, we're going to do this. And when they get in power, all they do is compromise, hold hearings like Jim Jordan. They love to hold hearings. When Trey Gowdy was in there, nothing came of Benghazi. All that evidence, nothing ever happened. So here's the reason why I feel this way. Now, like the little montage you just said, when Nancy Pelosi kept saying nobody's above the law, I mean, when they was going after Trump, she was with such glee. Physically, a couple of times, her dentures was falling out of her mouth. I mean, that's what she was actually doing. And we're looking at this, and I'm thinking to myself, when that guy, Congressman Bowman, when he pulled the fire alarm that disrupted Congress. Nothing ever happened to him. But they go after the J6 and say, hey, you disrupted Congress, the procedures. I'm trying to tell you, they always seem to, when they're Republicans, they talk tough and back out of it. Now, if they do something, I would really be surprised. They should, but I don't think they will. Because when Hakeem Jeffries he keeps saying, hey, that's a red line. Kind of reminds me of Obama when he told Syria that's a red line and nothing happened. But I'm like, at the same time, when he makes that empty threat, like you just said a little while ago, he's the minority leader. He has no power. But they talk as if they do have the power. And if you notice something, our side just seems to back off and let them think they're in charge. I'm like, so what's the purpose in having the majority if we're going to let the minority of the people take charge and they're going to run everything anyway? So I want something to happen, but will it? Probably not, because they're probably going to also throw in the race card too. That's just my feelings.
Daryl, I wish I could disagree with you and say, oh, the Republicans are tough and they're going to come in there and they're going to uphold the rule of law and, they're going to give the Democrats now a taste of their own medicine and they're going to hold them, accountable. But you're right. I'm going to be shocked if they do something. And notice, the Democrats, all they got to do is bark. All they got to do is yell, scream, holler, threaten, just say, we're going to take this to the streets. And that's what they're really saying. There's going to be violence. You do this, there's going to be violence. And right away, the Republicans are, oh. And, they're basically wetting their pants. So, you're right, Daryl. Look, I'm not counting on anything. I'm not hoping for anything because I'll believe it when I see it. Should they be arrested? No question. Every single one of them. You would be arrested if you did something similar. I would be arrested. All of us would be arrested, and rightfully so. You don't just start attacking law enforcement because you're angry. It doesn't give you the, you and I can't storm a federal facility. And then, when we're held by federal law enforcement and told to leave, we can't just start elbowing them or body slamming them or pushing them or kicking them. We can't do that. But they think they can. And not only do they think they can, they even told them to their face in the most vulgar, obscene language imaginable. Quote, I can touch whoever I want, mother effer. That's what Congresswoman McIver said to an agent, an ICE agent, literally as she put her hand on the agent's throat. Okay, Democrats now, at least there are some of their leaders, openly threaten and intimidate or try to intimidate Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, the DOJ, Alina Habba, the Trump administration, the president himself, saying that if you arrest any member of Congress for having stormed that Newark ICE facility and having physically attacked and assaulted ICE agents, you are going to have a political war on your hands and maybe even street violence itself. Listen now to AOC. I just want to play the cut again. She couldn't have been clearer. Here is AOC threatening to incite violence if they dare arrest a single Democrat for having trespassed and attacked ICE agents. Roll cut 12, Mike.
Is trying to say, again, they're using public intimidation because they know that they cannot come for us all. They know that they cannot come for us all. And recently what they said is that DHS is allegedly looking into arresting members of Congress who were showing up for their legal and constitutional obligation to conduct oversight. If anyone's breaking the law in this situation, it's not members of Congress, it's the Department of Homeland Security. It's people like Tom Homan and Secretary Kristi Noem. You lay a finger on someone, on Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman, on Representative or any of the representatives that were there, you lay a finger on them, we are going to have a problem. Because the people who are breaking the law are the people who are not abiding by it.
Okay, so let me ask you, who's bluffing? Who's bluffing? Do you think DHS is bluffing? Do you think Alina Habba is bluffing? In other words, the Trump administration, when they say they're seriously investigating and contemplating charging, arresting these Democrat members of Congress? Or do you think the Democrats are basically just blowing smoke? They have no cards, no power, no real authority, and they just think if they yell loud enough and scream loud enough and threaten loud enough, that this will force Alina Habba and Kristi Noem to back off. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, you can text us 70470, 70470. This is from 603, and I think hits the nail right on the head. Jeff, the tactic of the left is a simple one. Cause the right to hesitate. The more the right hesitates, the more reluctant they become to act. The answer to this is just as simple. Arrest these members of Congress. When their shock troops act out, arrest them. And then keep on arresting them until the left has to rethink their tactics because they are not working. The left needs to be met with strength and unwavering commitment at every turn. I agree. I completely agree. You want to take it to the streets? Fine. We'll arrest. And then we'll arrest you for inciting violence. Like how far they're digging their own political grave. So now it's not enough to be defending murderers and rapists and terrorists and gangbangers. No. It's not enough now that you hate white people and go on about how dare we admit white people into the country as refugees. No. Now you want to say it's okay for members of Congress to literally beat up and attack and body slam federal law enforcement? Okay, it's your funeral. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. You're not going to win on this. One more, and I think this is from David on Messenger, and really, I think, says it all just so well about the Republicans. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning to you, David. This is a crossroads for the GOP. If they don't act on this, then they will lose all credibility with we the people. I agree. Why? Because it's so high profile. And since, Monday or the weekend, we have seen the video. The whole country has seen the video again and again. We saw the body slammer, LaMonica McIver. We see her pushing, kicking, jostling, elbowing, attacking federal ICE agents, swearing all kinds of obscenities. We can do whatever we want. We saw how these members of Congress behaved. We saw it on tape, on video. The whole country did. It's pure, naked, open, explicit assault. And the whole country saying, if we did this to an officer, we'd be in prison on the spot. No questions asked. So, they can talk the talk, but if they don't walk the walk, no one is ever going to take the Republicans seriously again. I'm with David. Agree, disagree. Bob in Plymouth. Thanks for holding, Bob, and welcome.
Call.
Hi,
and
Bob.
what you just said is partly what I was going to say. They must be arrested, they must be indicted, and they must go to jail. And if the Black Lives Matter and Antifa rile up again, it's time for tear gas, fire hoses, and dogs. No more of this nonsense. It's been going on for too long. What do you say?
Oh, I agree. Bob, I so agree. Bob, and this is, I think, the question. Let me ask you, but I think it's a $64,000 question. You have the Democrats now, having put the country through what they did under Biden, and having arrested Trump again and again, and repeated over and over to the point I think I'm going to throw up. No one is above the law. So they can arrest Republicans with impunity. They can frame a former president of the United States, frame him, railroad him, engage in a judicial and legal witch hunt, cuff him, book him, mugshot him, arrest him, put him through trial. But if we want to arrest a Democrat member of Congress caught on tape, and Kristi Noem is right, she goes, those were clearly felonies. They committed felonies. It's right there on tape. What are we talking about? Well, look at the message it sends to the entire country, and especially to Republicans and Republican voters. Democrats can do whatever they want. It's a two-tier justice system. They can arrest who they want. They can behave how they want. They can break the law and disregard the law whenever they want. But Republicans, even when you're innocent, we're going to arrest you. Up to and including the President of the United States. Now, Bob, I'm sorry. But if Alina Habba and Kristi Noem and Pam Bondi, if they don't have the guts to pull the trigger on this, Bob, who's ever going to take the Republicans seriously again? I mean, am I wrong?
Right, just as I'm feeling, and I'm like I said earlier, I'm sick and tired of this going on year after year after year, and I think it's time for us to kick ass and fight back.
Amen. Amen. Bob, I'm with you all the way, brother. Bob, thank you very much for that call. Rick in Tennessee. Thanks for holding, Rick, and welcome.
Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, Rick.
I'm a retired police officer, 28 years on the front lines, 8 years in the detective bureau, 32 years total. This is ridiculous. I've made dozens of arrests for people interfering with me when I was trying to do my job, and the performance of my job. This is nothing more than intimidation by the Democrats. If you let them get away with this, you're just emboldening their base. You know, there's prima facie crimes, and a prima facie crime is a crime on its face, which means when a police officer, somebody committing a crime, they don't need a warrant. They can arrest you on the spot. And pushing a federal agent is a prima facie crime. Any prosecutor's office would have, or any officer worth his salt would have arrested those people right there on the spot. But because you're dealing with federal agents, they're not used to interacting with on-hands arrests like city police, sheriff's offices, state police. We're having the same problem here in Nashville. We've been having major sweeps being conducted by our highway patrol that are supporting federal ICE agents in pulling people over for traffic violations, and we've arrested upwards of maybe 300-400 of them. Our feckless city manager, or mayor rather, of Nashville, Freddie O'Connell, is actually challenging the police. He won't let our own police, Nashville City Police, be involved whatsoever. In fact, we had a council person stand up on the floor of city council and say she thinks that our local police should be arresting ICE and the highway patrol. These people are ridiculous.
Oh, they're crazy. No, they're crazy. No, Rick, look, Nashville's been in the news. They got that moonbat mayor. You're completely right. Look, Rick, I want to ask you this. Not that I would ever do it. You know that. You know how much I respect law enforcement. But just indulge me. And look, I mean, I'm 6'3", almost 6'4", about 250 pounds. So I'm not as big or as strong as LaMonica, the body slammer. LaMonica McIver. She can take me any day, MMA or wrestling or whatever. I mean, that woman. You know what? I used to say women don't belong in the NFL until I saw her. That woman, she can go up. Mike, huh? Put her on the offensive line for the Patriots. She'll clear a path for those running backs. But anyway, let that go, Rick. If I trespassed and you were there, okay, as a police officer, for whatever reason, I trespass, and then I kick you, I elbow you, I grab you by the throat, I spit on you, and then I shout to you, I can do whatever I want, mother effer. And then, after all of this, you have a female cop, say one of your partners, and I grab the female cop and I body slam the female cop. Rick, am I getting away with a warning? Am I just going to be allowed to walk away? And then, God forbid, if you guys say you're investigating me, then we're going to have political leaders come out and say, don't you lay a hand on the Kuhner man. We're going to have a problem, Rick. Rick, hey, that's a red line. You don't cross that line, Rick. So if I did what I just explained to you as a city police officer, forget a federal agent, what would happen to me in the real world, Rick? What would have happened to me?
Arrested right on the spot. We used to call it cuffed and stuffed. Cuffed and stuffed in a cruiser and gone to jail. But for some reason, I don't know what's going on with the DOJ. I'm very disappointed in Pan Bondi. I'm very disappointed in Kash Patel. It's just frustrating because they are in positions of power. It's their job to enforce the law or to have their agents enforce the law, and that's not being done. Tom Holtman is the only guy, in my opinion, and Kristi Noem are the only two individuals that are upholding their oath of office. These other people are dragging their feet. You don't need a massive investigation. When someone pushes a police officer, I don't care if it's a game warden, for crying out loud, you're arrested right there.
Oh, I'm so with you. And Rick, we're not even, and there are tons of witnesses, but we're not even talking about, there's so many witnesses. Rick, it's on camera. It's the body cam footage. I mean, it's over. And I don't mean like 15 seconds, 20 seconds. You're like, I don't know. It's the video is a little grainy. It goes on and on and on. I mean, you're right. Like on the spot, bang, handcuffs. That's it. It's over. All of you arrested. Bye. Get a lawyer. Rick, please don't be a stranger. Great call. I love that call, Rick. 617-266-6868. Jeff in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Jeff, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you, Jeff? I don't know, Jeff. I'm thinking
Wonderful.
hold on. Maybe, what do you think? Should we storm an ICE facility? I don't know.
It's not advisable because Democrats won't put us in prison.
Jeff, hold on. Let me ask you this. Jeff, toe-to-toe, would you go toe-to-toe with LaMonica McIver? If I put boxing gloves on her, gave you boxing gloves, would you go in the ring with that tiger? I wouldn't go in the ring with her. I'll tell you this, Jeff.
Absolutely not. I don't like being that close to scum.
No, she's too big. Jeff, to me, she's too big. She's too strong. I don't want to get body slammed.
I know that feeling. So, if you're asking if they're going to do anything about it, right? Kindergarten cop could put people in jail on the evidence they have. So there's your answer to, is the DOJ going to do anything? No, they're not. They've already waited out Donald. If Donald Trump's in office for 4 years, they've waited out 12.5% of his term already. If they lose control of the House, they've waited out 25% of his term already.
Interesting. So, Jeff, you're saying the fact that they haven't even made an arrest so far, you're saying that's definitive proof they're bluffing. They're not going to make any arrests, correct? I mean, outside of the mayor of New York. But you're talking about these members of Congress. You're saying if they haven't done it by now, they're not going to do it, correct?
That's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, there's so much low-hanging fruit. They could have put somebody in jail by now. They haven't for a reason. The Republicans are equally guilty. You have Tillis. You have these people coming out like the rhinos in the Republican Party. They have to go. We have to turn out in numbers in 26. Bring 10 people to the polls. I have lost full faith in Cash Patel. I've lost full faith in Dan Bongino. To be quite honest with you, I'm not sure he could start a podcast if he came back at this point. Nobody's gone to jail. The spending bill is in shambles. They've removed no tax on tips. They've removed no tax on Social Security. They've removed the defunding of Planned Parenthood. They've removed the defunding of USAID. They've done nothing. The GOP is useless. At this point, I'm going to go vote Democrat and burn the country down fast. I am so sick of death by 1,000 cuts.
Jeff, thank you very much for that call. You're speaking for a lot of people. Believe me. Look, just so that all of you know, okay? You can look it up. Please don't take my word for it. This current GOP Congress. Now, just to understand. Oh, yeah. Sandy's saying no, the no tax on tips has not been removed from the bill. So apparently that's still in there. But, and the no tax on overtime, I believe as well, is still in there. But no, I get your point, Jeff. They're surrendering on almost every front. I agree with you. Look, Trump won in November 2024, okay, which wasn't that long ago. He won 312 electoral college votes. He won the popular vote. He won every battleground state. He won 2,750 counties. That's almost one of the most ever by any president in history. He won the Republicans the House, and he won them the Senate. That's the mandate that Trump had. You've got a Republican-controlled House, a Republican-controlled Senate. Now listen to this, okay? Forget your coffee, because I'm telling you, this is going to wake you up. Here it is, okay? Don't even bother with your coffee. This is going to get the blood pressure going. In 70 years, no Congress has sent fewer bills to the president to sign thus far than this current Congress. 70 years. You have not had a more inactive, ineffective, useless Congress. They have only sent the president, you know how many bills? Two bills. Two. That's it. They're a do-nothing Congress. They're an absolutely do-nothing Congress. Notice Trump is coming out with all these brilliant executive orders. One after another after another. They won't codify one of them. Now, I love the executive orders. Please, don't get me wrong. The problem with an executive order is, as all of you know, Democrats win in 2028. They can reverse it and rescind it on the spot. So it's only as good as when the president is still in office. You pass it in Congress, it becomes law. It becomes codified. But they refuse to codify any of his executive orders. Any of them. And that's because, and I think Jeff is right on, the Republican Party in Congress, whether it's the House or the Senate, is full of rhinos and never Trumpers. They don't want Trump to succeed. They don't want his agenda to be codified. They don't want to see MAGA emerge as the permanent majority in this country. And so they're just going to wait him out. Even if it means losing the House, they don't care. Losing the Senate, they don't care. They'd almost rather have the Democrats run Congress so they can impeach Trump, block Trump, obstruct Trump, and essentially push him out of power. So we're dealing with Judases. That's the problem. And you clearly see this now. Remember, I always say this. Remember, the Republican establishment at the national level or here in Massachusetts, it's the same thing. They are the Washington Generals to the Democrats' Harlem Globetrotters. They are controlled opposition. Their job is to lose. They are paid to lose. They make their money to lose to the Democrats. Okay, my friends, Democrats now say you arrest any of those members of Congress, the three from New Jersey, any one of them, it doesn't matter, even the body slammer, LaMonica McIver, Congresswoman, you are going to have a political war and maybe even an actual war or violence anyway on your hands. AOC openly threatening, Hakeem Jeffries saying, you will find out what will happen. It is a red line. You will never come back from this. So the Democrats openly now intimidating or trying to intimidate the Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, the DOJ, Alina Habba. She is the acting U.S. District Attorney for New Jersey, which has jurisdiction over this case. So far, they said they've opened a formal, thorough investigation. Kristi Noem has come out publicly and said she saw all the body cam footage. She said, no question, felony after felony after felony was committed by all three members of Congress, but especially by the body slammer McIver. Will these Democrats be arrested and charged? Or do you think the Department of Homeland Security and the DOJ are bluffing? Or is it the Democrats who are bluffing? Will AOC really take it to the streets? Will Hakeem Jeffries really go after DHS? Do they even have the power to go after DHS? Who is bluffing and who do you think will blink in this game of brinkmanship? Dan in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Yes, Jeff. And not to change the subject, but please get out there on Saturday, 10 to 12, and join Jeffrey Kuhner in exposing the corrupt audit that was over 2/3 of the voters voted for. Okay? I'm going to be coming down from New Hampshire, and I got some buddies, friends, lots of friends showing up, and let's get out there and help out New Hampshire, Massachusetts. Got to remember, a lot of Massachusetts patriots came up to New Hampshire to help us out during the elections. That being said, Jeff, what people got to understand here, the DAs in the states have to work in hand with Pam Bondi. So this is a perfect opportunity here in New Jersey with Alina Hammer. So I'm thinking it's going to happen, Jeff. Okay? Well, you got to look at all these corrupt, most of your DAs and judges, well over the 50%, well over, Jeff, of the judges are corrupt. They're bought and paid for, consulting jobs, NGOs with their family members. Okay? These DAs, it's the same thing. It's all tied in with Act Blue, okay, who are funding these people, the Soroses, so on and so on. I don't want to rehash that, or I've already mentioned it. That's a big, big problem, Jeff, okay? And we got to go into the weeds. If we don't get the ball of the root, Jeff, okay, the weed's going to come back. So if we don't rip it out, people are talking about why Trump is doing stuff and no legislation is getting passed. You got Senate Majority Leader is a devoter, top, a devoter. That's not a leader, okay? And that's John Thune in South Dakota. And then you got Mike Johnson. These guys are dirty, Jeff. They're tied to dirty military, media industrial complex. That Mike Johnson's no good. He's proven it. Okay. Take for instance Arkansas. You got all 4 seats in the U.S. In the Republican Congress. Okay. You got both Senate seats. They're all F&D voters. Crawford, Hill, Wolfman, Westerman, Tom Cotton, Bozeman. They're no good. They're not America first. Okay. And the elected control who gets elected. We got to clean up our elections. People got to realize that you got to clean up the FBI first. Cash Patel made an arrest 2 months ago. Nobody talked about it. In Connecticut, a state official who worked at the State Department of Mental Health and Addiction for changing people's voter registration cards from Republican to Democrat. This was done, okay, off the heels. You got to remember that other overturned election in Connecticut as well, with the ballot stuffing at the 11th hour.
Oh, there's no question. No, Dan, you're dead on. Look, I have to say this about Kash Patel. Look, I am disappointed in him so far, but it's not as if he's done nothing. He has gone after some of this voter fraud, and you're right. People have been arrested who were caught blatantly stealing elections flipping votes from Republicans to Democrats. When the media says there's no evidence, they're lying, and they know they're lying. The question is, though, we want swamp creatures arrested. We want members of Congress arrested. We want powerful Democrats arrested. We want those that committed real crimes on a massive scale to be held accountable. And so far, we've gotten nothing from Bondi and Kash Patel and, frankly, Dan Bongino on all of that. Now, Bongino keeps saying it's coming. They're working behind the scenes. They're dotting the I's. They're crossing their T's. Okay, I mean, I'm going to give them a couple more months. But if I see nothing by the end of the summer or early fall, we're gonna need a new AG and a new FBI director. I mean, I'm sorry. Either you're up for the job or you're not. But look, I want to go back to something you said earlier, Dan, in your call. The donors follow the money. You look at Big Pharma. They own the Democrat and Republican Party. You look at the military-industrial complex. They own the Democrat and the Republican Party. You look at Wall Street. You look at Goldman Sachs. You look at these big hedge fund guys. They own the Democrat and much of the Republican Party. And that's the problem. That's why they don't want to codify anything that Trump is doing. Because ultimately they're hoping that this election was an abnormality. Okay, so with the pressure now building from Trump supporters, frankly, disgusted Americans across the entire country over what they saw up in Newark, New Jersey, which again was an insurrection. This was the Democrats' so-called January 6th. That's what this was. And as I argued on Monday, and I just want to repeat this very quickly, say what you want about January 6th. There wasn't a Republican member of Congress or a senator or a mayor who breached the Capitol, who were, fighting with police or whatever, attacking police. You had public officials, members of Congress. Hell, a mayor was arrested. And there they are storming a federal facility. And on camera, pushing, shoving, elbowing, grabbing by the throat, body slamming. Police officers, federal law enforcement, ICE agents. And they're telling us that they shouldn't be arrested because they're above the law? No, I don't think so. Well, pressure is now building. Kristi Noem has said she wants them arrested. We're going to see what Pam Bondi and Alina Habba are going to do. But there's a growing call now, even among Republicans in Congress, saying that what these 3 Democrat members of Congress did, especially the body slammer, was so beyond the pale. Whatever decision is made by the DOJ, they should be expelled from Congress. Listen now to, he used to be MAGA Mike, he's now Mini Mike. Here's Speaker Mini Mike Johnson at a press conference saying these New Jersey Democrats that stormed that facility, I think we may have to kick them out, a la George Santos. Roll cut 15, Mike.
There's 3 possible disciplinary actions that the House can take, okay? You can censure a member, and that probably does seem appropriate here. You can kick them off committees. That's a new tradition begun by the Democrats in recent years. And you can expel someone from Congress. Now, expulsion requires a 2/3 vote. That's not likely because the margins are small on both sides. But, we're looking at what is appropriate. Look, I think it's pretty clear that the law was violated. You might have noticed the Wisconsin judge that was trying to conceal the illegal alien that was going to be apprehended by ICE. A federal grand jury indicted the judge. I think that was late yesterday. And I'm told that she'll be brought up on charge, maybe facing potentially 6 years in jail and $350,000 in fines because she obstructed the proceedings, obstructed justice, and was engaged in other activities. So look, what these House Democrats did is in that same lane, the same vein of what the judge is being indicted for. So I think there's some legal ramifications to play out here, and we'll see how it works.
Don't you love the passion? Huh? He's just he's such a fighter. I mean, just, a mini Mike, huh? Just, you can see him. He's just raring to go. He wants to tear into that opposition, huh? Well, we've got three options. By the way, he's basically saying we're just going to censure him. He said we got three options. There's censure, which I think is the most appropriate at this time. We can kick him off committees, which is a tradition started by the Democrats, but I don't know if we want to go down. That's a little bit too aggressive. I don't want to start kicking people off committees. I mean, they do it to us, but God forbid we should do it to them. And then, of course, there's expulsion from Congress, but you need a 2/3 majority, and the Democrats aren't going to go for that. And I mean, who the hell? We're Republicans. We don't expel anybody from anything. But then he goes on. This is what I find incredible. Saying, well, this judge obstructed law enforcement. She's going to get, maybe potentially up to 6 years in jail. And what did these members of Congress do? The judge, say what you want about the judge in Wisconsin, and they should throw the book at her. Don't get me wrong. She didn't attack anybody. Remember there was ICE agents in the hallway? And she basically, manipulated them and deceived them and said, hey, go around the corner and talk to another judge. Yeah, she screamed at him. You're right. She was yelling, shouting, screaming, but she didn't body slam him, right? She wasn't, she didn't grab him by the throat. You know who the F I am, mother effer? You know who the F I am? I can touch whoever I want, mother effer. Okay, she didn't do that. And they did. So to me, I would argue it's even much worse than what the judge did. He says, well, the judge is facing up to 6 years in prison. And all you're going to do is censure? Like, this is your big hammer? Mini Mike. This is it. Guys, hey, whoa, hey, easy. Take it easy. Hey, I don't want you to bite her head off. This is pathetic. Honest to God, it's pathetic. Here, let me just flip it. 3 Republican members of Congress, say from Texas, okay, a red state, because New Jersey's still a blue state. So 3 Republican members from a red state, let's just say Texas, and a Republican mayor storm a federal facility, trespass. The mayor is arrested. The 3 Republican members of Congress go berserk, yelling, screaming, swearing, shouting, spitting. Then they start elbowing, kicking, body slamming, grabbing, federal agents by the throat, and it's all caught on camera. What do you think the Democrats would do? If this was Merrick Garland as AG, what do you think he would do? What do you think the media would be demanding and calling for? They would lose. Forget censure. Kicked off every committee. Then they would do a George Santos, and they would expel all 3 of them from Congress. No question about it. And you better believe it. 1, 2, 3, they would all be arrested. And they would all be saying no one's above the law. Like a parrot. No one's above the law. No one's above the law. No one's above the law. That's exactly what would happen. Now, what does our side do? Censure. We're looking into it. An investigation. This is very serious. It's up in Wisconsin there. That judge, she may get 6 years. These are violations, and we may have to do a slap on the wrist, damn it. I don't want to do it, but I just may censure him. Now you know why the Democrats win and we don't. It's really, there it is. It's right here. This is it in a microcosm. This explains everything. Jeff, even when the Democrats are out of power, how come they keep winning? How come Republicans always lose? Every time they lose. Here, right here. We have them on tape. It's on tape. And I'll tell you this. Here it is. Okay? Hold me to it. I would say I'm going to bet you the best steak, but you're going to hold me to it, and I can't buy all of you a steak. Okay, so just here it is. Okay, I will a friendly bet. Okay, because I can't bet a steak because I'm going to lose my house. So here's a friendly bet. I'll bet you they won't even censure him. Honest to God, they will not even censure him. I guarantee you. I guarantee. Not even the body slammer. Not even the body slammer. So there you go. David in Brookline, thanks for holding. I mean, do you agree, disagree? Am I wrong on this? Please tell me I'm wrong. David in Brookline, thanks for holding, David, and welcome.
I could never say you're wrong, Jeff. Good morning. And by the way, on a side note, as I'm sitting in traffic, I just saw one of those Tesla Cybertrucks all scribbled on the road. It's really disgusting, and I know that's off topic, but when you see it in person, it's something else versus TV. Jeff, two things. AOC, as a fellow being alum, I'm disgusted by her, but you use the word thug. I would use the word bully. A bully is basically a coward with a big mouth and nothing behind it. She talks big, but can you imagine if something actually happened to her, this self-entitled, enabled fraud? She would crumble like a house of cards. She does it because she knows nothing is going to happen. So that's point one. Point two, what has she accomplished in Congress other than barking? The answer is nothing. No legislation, nothing. And one other point on her, I've said this to you before.
David, can you hang on? We're going to take you on the other side. But you're right. On both counts, she's accomplished nothing in Congress except flapping her mouth. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, listen now. This is House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. We played it earlier. We have a lot of new people listening in now saying you arrest a single member of Congress. I don't care if they attacked ICE. I don't care if they stormed that facility. It may have been an insurrection, but when we do an insurrection, that's okay. But don't you dare lay a finger on them because you're crossing a red line. Listen now to Mr. Tough Guy, Hakeem Jeffries, roll cut 13, a mic.
What happens if they were to go and arrest these members, or if they would try to sanction them here in the House of Representatives?
They'll find out.
What would you do, though?
They'll find out.
Recourse? But doesn't that broach a...
They'll find out.
Doesn't that go across...
That's a red line.
What's the red line, though? I know we have the...
It's a red line. It's very clear. I think that the so-called Homeland Security spokesperson is a joke. It's a joke. They know better than to go down that road, and it's been made loudly and abundantly clear to the Trump administration. We're not going to be intimidated by their tactics to try to force principled opposition from not standing up to their extremism. It hasn't happened during the entirety of this failed term. It didn't happen when Donald Trump temporarily was sitting high in the immediate aftermath of the election. Do you think it's going to happen now, when he's the most unpopular president in American history after his first 100 days? Give me a break. No one's intimidated by this dude. No one.
No one's intimidated by this dude. All right, tough guy. So, let me ask you, is Hakeem bluffing, or do you think DHS is bluffing? Will arrests be made? Should arrests be made of the members of Congress for assaulting ICE agents? Mark in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Oh, Jeff, I think it's cute that people think something's actually going to happen. It's going to do what they'll do what they always do. Pound the gavel, pound the podium, run to the cameras, have committee hearings, and then you know what they're going to do, Jeff? They'll send a strongly worded letter, Jeff, saying, we're very disappointed in your behavior. We need to make sure this kind of thing doesn't happen again. So, if you decide you want to go there, just let us know, and we'll make arrangements for you to go and tour the facility. But please don't don't assault our police officers anymore, Jeff. You know, when Democrats...
We lost Mark. What happened to Mark? Mark, we lost you, buddy. Let's put him on hold, and hopefully we can reconnect with Mark, because he was really on a roll there. So Mark is saying that you're not even going to see a censure. That's what Mark is saying. Mark is saying that, yeah, maybe a strongly worded letter written by Jim Jordan. That's about it. That's all you're going to see from these people. And look, I think he's right. When Democrats commit crimes, nothing happens. When Republicans don't do anything, just threaten their interests, it's lock them up. So there you go. Now, I don't want to live under this kind of a regime. I don't. Do you? Nick in Weymouth. Thanks for holding, Nick, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, couple of things. Let me jump back to the tax Social Security thing, by the way. What I steadily saw with the beginning of the Walking Dead president, who, thank God, is no longer there, each year where our income in this household was static, okay? All the finances were static, income and outgoing, a steady increase from year to year of how much of our Social Security became taxable, okay? We're approaching in the high 60s right now. No, it doesn't mean you will lose 60% of your Social Security, but it gets added, obviously, onto your taxable income, and it hurts. To the extent that instead of getting $2,000 tax refunds, we're now down to $475, okay, with nothing changing. I will never forgive them for this. You got to go back to Reagan, by the way. He signed that for 50% for the first time ever being taxable in 83. And then that bum Clinton came in. He boosted it to 85%. Why? And why do they need to do this now? God knows how much money from Social Security has been stolen, right, to help the new population of the illegal Democratic voters. As for Johnson, you saw what he was made of when him and Thune went to the limit to make sure that the ridiculous, rotten FISA law stayed in place. They had a chance to reform it. They didn't really do that. They had a chance to get rid of it. We saw the destruction it did to the Republicans. They don't care. We've been uni-party for a long time, Jeff, a long time. And that has to stop. There's a congresswoman in Massachusetts, Angie something or other. She's a Democrat. She's voting for Social Security to not be taxed. Okay, so we've already sown the seeds. Your other callers have said this earlier. We've already sown the seeds to lose the Congress. Okay, what Trump needs to understand. I don't know what happened to Kash Patel. I really don't, Bonnie, but we know what they are. They're showing you what they are, and it don't look good. So, Mr. Trump, President Trump, I understand you're doing fantastic things in the world. America comes first, and that's the citizens who pay. We're solely going to be squeezed out of our Social Security money one way or the other.
Oh, I agree. No, look, Nick, you're completely right, and thank you very much for that call. And okay, so we lost David for a while, but David is back on the board. So let's go to David in Brookline. David, you were on a roll before we had to go to break. And again, I think you're expressing the feelings of many, many in this audience. The Republicans are feckless. They're gutless. They don't have what it takes to stand up to the Democrats. And obviously, you're not expecting to see anything in terms of arrests. And in the end, the Democrats can break laws. They can assault police. They can assault law enforcement. They can storm a federal facility. They can have their own January 6th. Nothing happens to them because the Republicans are too chicken to hold them accountable. Please, David, pick up where you left off.
Jeff, but, I was addressing AOC initially that she is the spokesperson, but she's nothing but a loudmouth, do nothing bully. But they do fight dirty. I know, Jeff, and I've said this to you, that it's pointless to argue with a Democrat. And I learned that a couple of years back talking with this Democratic friend of mine, who's no longer really a good friend. highly educated, but it's like talking to a wall. I said, AOC is going to be this and going to be that. And this person said to me, oh, you're way off base. AOC is nothing but a fringe, irrelevant. It's now 2.5 years later, and she's the spokesperson, but she's done nothing in Congress. And my last 2 points, Jeff, is this. I know exactly what the Democrats, all of them, are against. They're against anything that makes America strong, good, and the pursuit of excellence and merit in America. What I don't know is what are the Democrats for? And my final point, Jeff, is this. You know, I thought about this. What are they trying to accomplish now? And you're going to say this is the chicken's way out or cowardly, but they're basically looking for attention, and they're looking for relevance, and they'd like to, I know this, you had a caller a few weeks ago who brought this up, they'd like to derail the big tax bill, because, arresting these people now would create the chaos that they want. So I'm going to say this. Yes, they should be arrested. If Merrick Garland was running things and it was Republicans, he'd bring them up on treason. But in my opinion, they're going to wait until after they pass the tax bill, and then I think you'll see them get at least a little bit tougher.
I hope so. David, I really hope so. And I'm sorry, the connection just wasn't very good, but we heard you. And look, I agree with you. I think a lot of Republicans are waiting for this one big, beautiful bill. They don't want to rock the boat. I don't know why, but they're petrified of rocking the boat. And once they get their big, beautiful bill passed, they believe that they can start becoming more aggressive, start going after Democrats. Honestly, David, I'll believe it when I see it, because I'm going on the past and I'm going on a record. And when have Republicans really ever gone after Democrats? Ever, ever, ever. They never do. And you mentioned it. Look, you said it. AOC is a bully. Joe Biden is a bully, or was a bully, when he was in power. What is Hakeem Jeffries? He's a bully. Chuck Schumer's a bully. Nancy Pelosi's a bully. But if you don't punch a bully in the mouth, politically, proverbially, if you don't punch the bully in the mouth, the bully keeps bullying. And there's nobody outside of a few. There's a few. There's no question. Matt Gaetz, that's why they hated him. Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's why she's persona non grata. Obviously, Trump, he's the only one that really is not afraid of him. But outside of a handful of Republicans, they refuse to punch the bully in the mouth. And that's why the bully keeps running his mouth, or in AOC's case, her mouth. And that's why they continue to threaten and bluster and intimidate and think that they can get away with anything. And look, I agree with so many people on the text line. If Republicans don't hold the Democrats' feet to the fire on this, when we have it on tape, on camera, committing blatant felonies and crimes, then they're never going to have credibility again. And Jim Jordan can yell as loud as he wants. They can promise the moon. It doesn't matter. No one is going to take them seriously going forward. And they better be very, very careful. So in this game of so-called chicken, this game of brinkmanship, it better be the Democrats who blink. Because if the Republicans do it again, I don't think the voters are ever going to trust them or believe in them ever. Or at least for a decade or a generation to come. And let me just ask all of you, in all seriousness, are you happy with the Republicans in Congress? You voted for them. We put them in power. In some ways, we put our trust in them. Are they delivering for us? Are you happy with their performance? Honestly, do you feel that Republicans, I'm not talking Trump, obviously. Trump is a completely different animal politically. Okay, him, all he does is fight for us. But do you feel that these Republicans are fighting for you, fighting for me, fighting for us? I don't see any evidence of that whatsoever. Now, maybe I'm missing something. Please educate me. But I don't see it. To me, the Republicans so far have been a giant disappointment. Agree, disagree. We got him back. Mark in New Hampshire. Mark, you were on a roll. You were saying you're not even going to see a censure from these Republicans in Congress. Maybe a strongly worded letter. That's it. And then you pivoted to the Democrats, and then we lost you. So please pick up where we left off, Mark.
All right. So, our concern, one of them is, they're attacking a federal building. Jeff, in the summer of love, for 100 days, they were trying to burn down a federal courthouse, and we did nothing about it. No one was arrested. No one was indicted. We just let them do it, right? So this is just typical leftist behavior, Jeff. They fight and they fight and they fight. And you're asking about who's going to blink first. Republicans can't blink, Jeff, when their eyes are closed, okay? They don't even have the ability to blink. They walk around with their eyes shut and their heads down saying, well, we're going to be the party of getting back to norms, and we're going to be the ones that can show the American people how government should run. Meanwhile, the Democrats are cutting their legs out from underneath them, stabbing them in the back, punching them in the face, and Republicans are just ignorant to the whole thing. They're either cowards or they're too deep involved in this to risk their own, crimes coming to the surface, Jeff. I'm sick of this party. I'm tired of these idiots that we have. They don't fight. All they do is sit there and talk about, we're going to pass legislation. We don't need more laws. We need action. We need fighting. We need to get the work done. And they're not doing it, Jeff, because they're too invested in lining their pockets and securing their legacies and making sure they get reelected. Just give us the power and we'll get things done. Well, you've had the power and you've done nothing. So as far as I'm concerned, this Republican Party is done. They don't have the stones to fight. The Democrats, give the devil their due. They fight and do what they say they're going to do. Even if it's bat crap crazy, they do what they say they're going to do. If they're going to impeach, they impeach. We saw, we've got all this evidence on the Biden crime family. We're going to impeach him. Well, yeah, we'll hold off for 4 years and then we'll sweep it under the rug. That's all they're going to do with this, Jeff. They'll just talk about it and then sweep it under the rug when it doesn't poll anymore.
Mark, I want to read to you an email that I got. And it's so much on your wavelength, but I want to know if you agree with it completely or not. And I want to throw it to the entire audience. Jeff, I'm beginning to hate the Republicans more than the Democrats. They aren't even trying to act like they give a damn about saving this country. Imagine having the power to send legislation to the president's desk that could actually help save our country, and instead doing nothing with your time. We voted for you. We put our trust in you. You have a president, i.e. President Trump, who is willing to sign legislation, and instead you do nothing. When this country falls completely, it will be on you guys for not doing something. When are the executive orders being codified? When is the immigration bill hitting the president's desk? When is the election integrity bill hitting his desk? When is anything going to happen? You Republicans in Congress are lazy parasites, and I am utterly disgusted by you. You have power to do something and choose to do nothing. Shame on you. Mark, I have to ask you, point blank. With the Democrats, they tell you to your face, they hate us. They hate America. They want to destroy us. Republicans are like Judas. Mwah. They give us a kiss and tell us how they'll never abandon us and how they're with us all the way to the end. And then all they do is screw us and screw us and screw us. Or in this case, do nothing, nothing, nothing. Are you starting to hate Republicans even more than Democrats? Does that person who wrote that email, that person's thoughts and sentiments, do they correspond to yours?
I will say, Jeff, I don't know if hate's the right word, but yeah, I completely agree that I have grown tired of this party. I've grown tired of the people that are in Congress. I don't know if hate's the right word, but yeah, I'm right there. I'm sick to death of these people. They're just, they promise everything, and then once you give them the power, they do nothing. And I'm tired of it. I don't know what the answer is. That's the problem. I don't think anyone does. You know, it's like you have to go in there and punch them all right in the mouth and say, wake up. Start doing your job. Start doing what you were elected to do. Stop trying to line your pockets. Stop trying to, secure your reelection. Stop trying to work across the aisle. They don't want to work across the aisle. As soon as you reach across, they'll cut your hand off. These people, I guess. I can't.
I guess so. You're becoming, I would say, disillusioned, I think is the more right. I think you would say more than hate. That you're becoming disillusioned with the Republicans, correct?
Somewhere between the two. I think I've been disillusioned with them for a long time, but, there might be like a couple in there that I think actually care and do want to fight, and then the rest of them are just go along to get along. We like collegiality. We want to get back to how it used to be, where we could, sit and have a drink with each other. Now, you want to sit and have a drink with a Democrat to put a roofie in it, and they'll set you up with a dead hooker. That's how these people are, Jeff.
Mark.
I'm done with them.
I'm with you. I hear you. Mark, as always, dynamite call. Thank you very much for that call. Cynthia in Westford. Thanks for holding, Cynthia, and welcome.
Oh, hi. Good morning.
Hi, Cynthia.
Yeah. I want to thank you. This is the first time I've called, and I started listening to the station a little bit before the election in November.
Welcome, Cynthia.
Yeah, and I probably listen every morning for a very brief period of time. So thank you. But I just wanted to put a little input into whether to charge these representatives, and I think whether, to say who's going to, who's going to back down or whatever. I think we really need to look at this in a way that they broke the law and they need to be treated accordingly and not get emotional about it and just move forward. And I think if we don't do this, it's going to continue. It's going to continue either way. And I see just in my area, in Acton, one town over, what happened over the weekend when it came to ICE going and arresting some people, and the community that started to say that they shouldn't be there, they need a warrant, and start to strike out, and even Jamie, trying to think of the rep from Acton,
No, you're right, Cynthia. Look, they're starting to obstruct ICE agents when they're trying to just make arrests of violent, criminal, illegal aliens. So it's like a cancer. The more the Democrats urge obstruction, the more you're starting to see it on the ground. And that's why I completely agree with you. It's time to make an example of these people. Okay, lines are blazing. Let's go to Bill in Sudbury. Thanks for holding, Bill, and welcome. Did we lose Bill? All right, let's put him on hold, and let's go to, you want to go to Roman? Zach, who do you want me to go to? Let's go to Roman in Boston. Thanks for holding, Roman, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Roman. You? I'm very good. How are you, Roman?
I'm okay. Jeff, this is going on a week now, and charges haven't been brought against McIver. They should have taken her. She should have been locked up that day. There was so many crimes committed, and I just can't understand. They give them a tour of the facility afterwards, beat the cops up, and then give them a tour of the facility. Why wasn't she arrested that day? I've been shaking my head since I heard this. Why wasn't she locked up that day, or all of them, especially Congress, because they should know better. They're held to a higher standard, and then it's all there. Why wasn't she arrested? Why haven't charges been brought against them? Why are these Democrats allowed to threaten everybody, anything? First of all, Hakeem Hoodrat Jeffries, and AOC, they're like FAFO. Come on, you have no power to do anything. Nothing when it comes to this. They broke the law. Get with it, Republicans. They have nothing over you, except that your paymasters are probably involved in it with the Republicans. I'm in agreement with everybody who's called that the Republican Party is just making me sick. We put them in, and they do nothing. They do absolutely nothing. There's a handful of them that speak out, and that's it. Mr. Mild-Mannered Mike Johnson, we don't need mild-mannered. We need someone who will fight, just like Trump does. But he's a one-man show right now. No one is helping him. What about the bill for the judges? That went through the House. Why is Thune sitting on it? All these other bills that are passing, and Thune isn't doing anything. Why are they waiting for this big, beautiful bill?
Well, I'm going to get to John Thune in the next segment. You're going to want to hear it. Trust me, Roman. It's an unbelievable admission on his part, and I think really tells us everything we need to know. But I want to get to answer your question. No, the reason why the body slammer wasn't arrested on the spot was because she's a Democrat. I mean, I could go on from Hillary Clinton to her server, the way she destroyed evidence, obstructed justice. I can go all the way to Mayorkas. I can go on and on to Comey, to Brennan, to Clapper, to Peter Strzok. I could go on and on and on. It's egregious crime after egregious crime. Nothing ever happens because they're Democrats. I mean, literally, that's the answer. Look, and compare this to what they did to Trump on nothing. Literally, they fabricated the whole thing. And, forget Trump. Look what they did to the J6ers. They literally put grandmothers in solitary confinement. No due process. These are American citizens. No due process whatsoever. Stuck a grandma in a solitary confinement for over a year. Why? Because grandma took a picture with a police officer on that day, or grandma, I'm not kidding, went to the bathroom. Grandma was there for the rally, for the protest. She couldn't hold it in after all those hours. They invited people in. They opened the door. They said, come in. They went in. And she went to an old lady, went to the bathroom, walked out, asked the police officer, can I take a picture with you? He said, yes. She took a picture. She left. 15 years. 15 effing years. They put that woman behind bars. Now, thank the Lord, Trump pardoned her. But that's what that's what Merrick Garland did. Now, did she assault anybody? Niet. Did she body slam anybody? Niet. Did she stand there and grab an officer by the throat like the body slammer? Niet. But her, no due process, solitary confinement, 15 years for going to the toilet. Okay? That's how the Democrats roll. Now, if the Republicans aren't willing to put these three thugs, and that's what these three members of Congress are, they're thugs. You don't want to put them in jail when you got them on tape, then you're no good to us. That's all. It's very simple. You're no good to us. And maybe it's time for a third party. I've been saying this now for a long time. If Republicans don't want to do the will of the people, we'll get another party. It's okay. They're not the only party in town. We can create our own. Roman, thank you very much for that call. Do we have him back? Bill in Sudbury. Thanks for holding, Bill, and welcome.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, Jeff. I'm sorry, I accidentally hit the mute button on my phone.
Well, I'm not shocked. I mean, Bill, that's you, but go ahead.
I just want to put that out there that I think the Democrats want this fight. I think they would like nothing better than to be arrested. Converse, so they could have a big trial and a big show. I actually think that to go and arrest them is, in a way, giving them exactly what they want.
Well, they don't seem to want it, Bill. I mean, the problem with your theory is they don't seem to want it. They're threatening.
Conversely-
They're intimidating. They're practically saying they're going to take it to the streets. So, no, I don't think they want a trial. Now, I know you're going to play the whole Trump's a dictator, and if we, arrest members of Congress, and, he's locking people up. No, they went after Trump on 4 BS charges. They had no problem arresting a former president. No one's above the law. I don't know how many times you called in and said that, Bill. So I'm sorry. It's just this one's not going to fly. So, no. Look, you can't beat up law enforcement. You cannot body slam an ICE agent. Now, you're the one that called me about January 6th for what now, 4 years, 5 years? They assaulted police officers, terrorism, insurrection. You have members of Congress on tape literally assaulting federal law enforcement? And you're telling me 617-266-6868 is the number? Okay. This has been a massive story. I've been sitting on it, waiting for the right time to discuss it with you, the incredible audience of Kuhner Country. And amazingly, and I think it's pretty obvious why, the media is really not talking about it. Yet it's one of the most transformative things that President Trump has done in his second term. It's going to impact the entire American economy. It's going to impact one of the biggest industries in the United States. It is going to impact almost every member of Congress. And most importantly, it's going to impact pretty much almost every American. And that is his historic executive order, which he issued on Monday, the first of its kind ever, something that no Democrat or Republican has ever been able to achieve. His executive order mandating that prescription drug medications in the United States for all Americans, not just those on Medicare or not just those with diabetes on Medicare, but for everyone on Medicare, everyone on Medicaid, every American, period. Our prescription drug costs are going to be slashed from 30 to up to 80%. And you may say, well, Jeff, how the hell is Trump going to do this? Well, as Trump, I thought, brilliantly explained as he unveiled his historic executive order with Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. right beside him, he said, what I've done now is I have now ordered that Big Pharma give American citizens and legal residents what's called most favored nation status. And this is the scam that Big Pharma has been running on all of us for the last 30, 40 years. We, the American consumer, pay 3, 4, in many cases 5 times as much for the exact same medication. Literally the exact same pill made by the same company in the same factory or plant than what is sold to countries around the world, especially the developed world. Say Europe, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Japan. And so countries around the world, their people will get the exact same drug from the exact same factory or plant. I'm talking the very same pill at 3, 4, even 5 times cheaper than we pay here in the United States. And the reason is they get what's called most favored nation status. So to get into their market, they will charge bargain basement prices. And that's how they get into all of these markets. And then, of course, people like the product. They like the drugs, the medications, the pills, the prescriptions. And they got more and more customers. But we're the ones who pay through the nose. And the reason why we pay through the nose is this is how Big Pharma makes their money. And so, as Trump said, they have been ripping off the American consumer and the American citizen for decades. And he came out with an absolutely stunning statistic. The United States, the population of America, ballpark, is just over 4% of the entire world's population. Okay? Almost 5%, or not even 5%. Yet we account for over 75% of Big Pharma's profits. That means they're making their money off of our backs. And so while we're paying $40, $50, $100, $200, $300, say for, I don't know, insulin or whatever medication you take. I take insulin for my type 2 diabetes. We are subsidizing cheap drug prices for these socialist countries with their socialist healthcare systems all across Europe, whether it's Germany, Deutschland, Sweden, Norway, Finland, France, Italy, up north, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, it doesn't matter. They have been getting cheap drugs because we pay the top dollar through the nose, and those profits that Big Pharma pockets is used then to subsidize the cheap drugs at those other countries, in those other countries, forgive me. Trump came out now with an executive order saying, no. Your days of ripping off Joe Sixpack, your days of ripping off American citizens is over. You're not going to charge Americans 3, 4, 5, in some cases, honestly, 10 times. There's some drugs 10 times what you charge other countries around the world. You must now give the American consumer, quote unquote, most favored nation treatment. You must treat the American consumer and give the American consumer the best deal that you give other countries. Now, Big Pharma can't stand him. If they could shoot him, they would. Because he has finally called them out. And to Trump's credit, he even openly said it. He said, look, I'll be honest with you. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. then spoke as well. The industry with the biggest number of lobbyists is Big Pharma. They inundate Congress with lobbyists. They own Congress. They own the Democrats and they own the Republicans. And that's why on this issue, even though Bill Clinton promised to do it, even though Joe Biden promised to do it, even though Hillary Clinton promised to do it, even though Al Gore promised to do it, even though Obama promised to do it, the only one that has delivered is Donald J. Trump. Why? Because he's not in the pocket of Big Pharma. He openly said it. He said the way they spend money, the campaign donations, he said they have bought Congress. But he said they didn't buy me. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said that's exactly the reason why this has never been done in America for the last 30, 40 years. Because Congress will never bite the hand that feeds them, which is Big Pharma. And if you want to know why the media has hardly mentioned this historic executive order, they've barely touched on it. Why? Every second commercial, whether it's Fox News, this is CNN, MSNBC, I don't care, CBS News, ABC News, NBC News, every second ad is a Big Pharma ad. He who pays the fiddler calls the tune. Their donors, their sponsors are not happy with this. That's why the media doesn't want to touch it. Plus, it'll give Trump tremendous credit. And they know politically it's going to destroy the Democrats. Now, here you have a president of the United States, just objectively, whose executive order is going to slash the drug prices and the prescription medication costs for hundreds of millions of Americans and save the average American thousands and thousands of dollars. I have blood pressure medication. I take cholesterol medication. I take Prevacid for chronic heartburn. I take eye drops for my glaucoma because of my type 2 diabetes. I take metformin. I take insulin. So I can't tell you how much I spend every month. I mean, I have health insurance, but I spend a ton of money on prescription meds every single month. This executive order is going to save me thousands of dollars. That's just for me. Now, why won't the Republicans codify this? 617-266-6868 is the number. So Trump signs an historic executive order, which is going to mandate that the big pharma give ordinary Americans, doesn't matter whether you're on Medicaid, Medicare, private health insurance, whether you have health insurance of any kind, that is going to cut now most favored nation status or treatment, which means it's going to slash prescription drug prices, reduce them dramatically, up to at least 3, 4, 5 times cheaper. Okay, for me, I'm telling you, it's going to be hundreds of dollars a month, which translates to whatever, over $1,500 or $2,000 a year. That's just for me. Imagine what it does for so many other Americans. So this is something that the Democrats have vowed to do, promised to do for 35 years. They haven't done it. George W. Bush promised to do it, didn't do it. Trump did it. Now, you would think that this would be something the media would be talking about, the country would be talking about. This affects almost everybody. Hardly a peep. Why? Because Big Pharma is livid. Big Pharma, I mean, if they could shoot him, as I said, they shoot him. They hate him as much as Wall Street hates him over the tariffs. Yet for the ordinary American, not for Wall Street, but for Main Street, this is going to have a massive impact for years to come. And I just want to very quickly read what Larry wrote on Messenger. And this is what Larry sent me on Messenger. And he's completely right, because it also changes much of the discussion that we've been having about healthcare for 25, 30 years. Jeff, this executive order on prescription drugs does more than the obvious. For decades, we've heard how great other countries socialized medicine and how it's superior to ours. Well, with this executive order, the American public is learning why our healthcare system is so much more expensive. Bingo. We've been subsidizing the socialist healthcare systems of countries all over the world. Their drugs, their prescriptions are infinitely cheaper, 3, 4, 5, as I said, in some cases, 10 times cheaper than ours. Same medication, same pill, same tablet, made from the same plant or factory. We pay $100 for it. Here, it's $10 in France or, whatever, Finland or whatever. Take your pick. So they make their profits off of us while giving everybody else the bargain basement discount rate. And Trump is now saying, no. The rate that you give to most favored nations treatment or status to other countries, you're now going to give to the American consumer. Every American consumer. Now, you want to raise prices on other countries, that's your business. But we're not going to be paying top dollar anymore and being gouged. So you guys make your money off of the backs of Americans and then use that to go cheap and subsidize prescription meds in other countries so you can enter their market. He's completely right. He's 1,000% correct. So socialized medicine has been essentially supported by us. We've been paying for the socialized healthcare systems of countries all over the world. This is now over. Now, just objectively, you're a politician. You want to get reelected. You're now going to save the average family thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And look, I need my blood pressure medication. I know I should lose weight. I know I should exercise more. I know my diet should be better. I get it. The goal is not to be on these things. I get it. But my point being, if I'm a condition that I'm in now, if I don't take my blood pressure medication, I could get a heart attack or a stroke. High blood pressure kills. Everybody knows that. Cholesterol kills. So from insulin, I have to keep my blood sugar level low. It kills. In the long run, your kidneys go, your liver goes. High blood sugar will kill you. So my point is, for most Americans, it's not an option. They have to take these prescription medications. They have to. It's life or death. You don't have a choice. It's not like eating out or, buying a certain type of car or a certain TV set or, we're not talking about a luxury or something that you can go without. It's like food and water. I need my meds. Most people need their meds. So this is going to save the average American and the average American family thousands and thousands of dollars. Why wouldn't you want to codify it? I mean, you want to get reelected. This is how you do it, right? You say, hey, boy, oh boy, I'm saving a ton of money on my meds, man. And you know what? My member of Congress just voted to make it permanent. Cha-ching, he's got my vote. No. Listen now to Senate Majority Leader John Thune. He was interviewed. Okay? He was interviewed. And this is what he said in an interview. He told, this was Punchbowl News, that while Trump's intentions are clear, he said, oh, no, for Trump, this is what he said, for Trump, he clearly wants to lower drug prices. It's something that, like a lot of other issues, he's had a passion about and believed in for a long time. So he's acting on that. Now, at this point, all I'm thinking is, and why aren't you? Like, isn't that a passion of yours? I mean, I don't know, in South Dakota, aren't they on prescription medications up there in South Dakota? He goes on to say, but for Congress, it isn't. Codifying the executive order into law would be, quote unquote, fairly controversial. He says it's too controversial. There's too much opposition. We could never get it passed. And then the argument, and this is the argument that some Republicans are using. Tom Tillis is another one, that rhino, but they're using it, which is Big Pharma's argument. These are price controls. This is price fixing. It's going to kill research and development. It's going to hurt us in the long run. You're crazy if you do this and make it into law. So let me get this straight. It's fine to price fix for other countries in the world, but it's not okay to price fix for us. So we have to keep paying 3, 4, 5, 6 times more for the same medication, the same drug, the same pill. In my case, the same insulin, the very same insulin that an Italian has to pay, or an Englishman has to pay, or a German has to pay, or an Australian has to pay, or a Canadian has to pay. So They get to go low and cheap, but we got to keep paying through the nose? By the way, how is it price fixing? You can't control what you charge other countries. Charge them more. Why do you got to keep charging us more? And no one's saying you can't make a profit. All we're saying is you're price gouging. And you're obviously price gouging. Why? Because 4% of the population accounts for 75% of your profits. You're a global company with global markets. You're not charging them the prices you're charging us. Hence why you're making so much money here and not there. So raise prices there. In other words, level the playing field. That's Trump's argument, and he's completely right. Now, why wouldn't the Republicans, who are now trying to build a working middle class permanent coalition, you should jump all over this. To me, this is like drilling. Yeah, we're for low gas prices. We're for low natural gas. We're for low energy bills. We got your back. You're a working person. You're going to pay a lot less with us. Same thing with your medications now. He won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Quote unquote, it's too controversial. No, let me give you the English translation. They put $400,000 in his pocket just last year. Big Pharma did, John Thune. That's just him alone. He's owned. They have him in their back pocket, just like they have Schumer in their back pocket, just like they have 90% of Congress in their back pocket. That's the swamp. That's why they don't want to codify this into law. And just, as an aside, that's why they don't want to codify Trump's immigration policy into law. That's why they don't want to codify his election integrity executive orders into law. And I could run down the whole list because their donors don't want it. So they yak. They say one thing on the campaign trail to get elected and then do the very opposite or do nothing once they're in power. Okay? But let that go, as I like to say. Here you have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to dramatically lower drug prices across the board for every American and codify Trump's historic executive order. It's not just good for 3.5 years. It's going to be good for decades. Unless the Democrats want to go and repeal it, which would be political suicide. And they won't touch it because the lobbyists run Congress. They run the Republicans just like they run the Democrats. And by the way, that's why for 35, 40 years, even though the Democrats said we're going to lower prescription drug prices, they never did. Why? Big Pharma won't let them. Wall Street won't let them. Their donors won't let them. Just like they wouldn't let the Republicans. Now, here's and by the way, you would think on an issue that Democrats have claimed they care about for how many decades have we been listening to this? You would say, no, on this, I agree with Trump. No, on this, bravo. Nothing. It's as if it didn't happen. There's only one Democrat member of Congress. One. He's a progressive from California. Kuhner has now congratulated the president on his executive order. By the way, he's an honest man. He said, you have now done what we progressives have been claiming we wanted to do for decades. No one else did it. You did it. And then he said, he went on X. You can read it on X. And he said, what I want to do now is I've sponsored a resolution. I want to introduce a bill that would codify into law your executive order. He goes, and no Democrat is co-sponsoring, but I want a Republican to sponsor it, to co-sponsor it. So far, not one Republican, not one, is co-sponsoring Ro Khanna's resolution. Not one. You want to see how bought and paid for Congress is? Here it is. Where they work for the interests of their donors and special interests against the active interests, the daily interests, the bread and butter, the health interests of the constituents and the people they're supposed to serve. This is what's wrong with Congress. This is what's wrong with our political system. This is what's wrong with the swamp. This is what's wrong with the media. This is what's wrong with Big Pharma. They own the media. They own the Republicans. They own the Democrats. They own the whole damn thing. Lock, stock, and barrel. John Thune says it's too controversial to codify it into law. This guy should be voted out on his rear end. And if I'm President Trump, up or down, I want my executive order. I want someone to co-sponsor Ro Khanna's resolution. And I want to see every member of Congress on the record, roll call, take a vote. Same thing in the Senate. And I want you to vote against, if you have the guts, saving the average American thousands of dollars on their prescription medications. I want you to vote on slashing drug costs up to 80% and then go explain it then to your voter. Go to your constituents and explain it to them. So, you want to know why we have a do-nothing Congress? You want to know why nothing good or positive rarely ever comes out of that body? Here it is. This is the swamp. 617-266-6868. Okay, let me ask you two questions. I want to go now to you, this incredible audience. What do you make of Trump's executive order? Do you agree with it? Or do you agree with the arguments of many Republicans and some Democrats that this is price fixing? These are so-called price controls, and that this will be bad for innovation, for competitiveness, for research and development, that, we pay a lot more, but that's because we're the world's leader in pharmaceuticals and medications and prescription drugs. And it is what it is, and you don't want to mess with the golden goose that's laying the golden egg. So, do you agree with Trump's executive order, or do you disagree? And secondly, and more importantly, will this executive order help you? Are you on meds? Are you on prescription drugs? And would a savings of 30 to 80%, paying 2, 3, 4 times less for your medications or whatever you may need, your drugs, your prescriptions, would that be a huge financial help and benefit to you and your family? I'm telling you, this is going to help me a lot. It's going to help my family's finances a lot. I'm saving a ton of money. I back this executive order all the way. I want it codified into law, but that's me. Agree, disagree. Eric in Swampscott. Thanks for holding, Eric, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Eric?
I'm well. So I do agree with the executive order with lowering the prescription drugs. I'm sure health insurance companies will be doing jumping jacks. Hopefully these companies, can charge employers less money, lower premiums for us customers, and trickle down in that way. Might be wishful thinking, but just saying some insurance places are getting crushed by these prescription drugs.
I'm sorry, Eric, can you just repeat that last sentence?
Yeah, so these prescription drugs are really hurting some of these insurance companies. They're so expensive. So, if we cut down these costs 30 to 80%, whatever it is, the insurance companies are going to be saving so much money. Maybe they can charge employers less money and less premiums for the employers and us customers.
Oh, I agree. Eric, I completely agree. And what I love about the executive order, just to, jump off of what you're saying, is it cuts out the middleman completely. It cuts out a lot of these insurance companies, and it cuts out CVS and Walgreens, and so they can't, skim a little bit off the top, because what it says is, no, the manufacturer, I'm just going to say Merck or Pfizer, Moderna, take your pick, Johnson & Johnson, you are going to sell the medication straight to the consumer at the best price, at the manufacturing price. So that consumer is going to get the lowest, cheapest price possible. We're going to pay what they pay in Sweden or Norway or Poland or other countries around the world, or Canada, where the prescription drugs are much cheaper because we're subsidizing them. And Trump is saying, no. No one's getting another bite at the apple. No one's going to be skimming anything off the top. It's going to go straight from the manufacturer, from the pharmaceutical or prescription drug maker, straight to the consumer. So you pay lowest price available. Eric, like, no like?
Like it. Love it.
Eric, are you like me? Do you take medications, or I don't want to get too personal, but is this going to save you money?
I'm only in my 30s, but I'm sure I'll be there one day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you eat right, have a great diet, you don't want to be like me, Eric. Trust me. Because these things are really expensive. I'm telling you, holy mackerel. Eric, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. 617-266-6868. Okay. Do you support Trump's executive order? Do you think should it be made into law, codified into law? I say yes. And have we been subsidizing the socialist healthcare systems of countries all over the world? And is it time that we end this? I want to hear from you. And in your life, personally, if you're going to be paying considerably less for your prescription medications, is this going to personally benefit you? Is it going to help you with your finances, save money? To me, again, it's going to help me a lot. Am I the only one that's on like 5-6 medications? I don't know. But anyway, because like the text line, all of a sudden, it's dead. It just all died all of a sudden. I'm like, am I the only one on meds here? 617-266-6868. Okay. Lines are jammed. I want to go to the phone lines, but I want to read this. Please, all of you need to hear this. This is why I so strongly support this executive order and why I really want to see it codified into law. It's from Sharon. I want to protect her privacy, so I won't say her last name. Good morning, Jeff. Well, good morning to you, Sharon. Families with children or even adults living with genetic or chronic disease, lowering the cost of RX drugs means the difference between having to choose between medication or living expenses. Now listen to this. Our son has cystic fibrosis. I'm very sorry to hear that, Sharon. And while the miracle drug has been life-changing, the copay each month is $7,000. Holy mackerel. And that is just one medication. He is on 7. We work with the manufacturer to get copay assistance and with nonprofits for copay grants to make the copay manageable. And while we are humbled and grateful for the assistance, I cannot imagine what we would do if we didn't have this help. The price of medication is unsustainable. And I feel almost bad now, to be honest. I'm being serious. To talk about my insulin and my metformin and my blood pressure pills and my cholesterol pills and, complaining about, $200-$300 a month. And I feel like a jerk now, to be honest, compared to this. But that's what I mean. you start lowering prescription drugs 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times what you're paying now. Here, for some families, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a month, especially those with, genetic or chronic conditions. It's the difference between life and death. It's the difference between literally food or medications. That's why I support this all the way. Agree, disagree. Mags in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Mags, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Mags. How are you?
I know I've been missing you. I've been listening, but I haven't been calling. Well, I got to tell you, I was somewhat calm until that text. Sharon, God bless you and your family. This is so disgusting, Jeff. I don't even know, now what to say. I mean, I'm blown away, and I'm also now realizing why all of these people in our government are so wealthy. Because if somebody like that has to pay $7,000 copay for one thing, one prescription drug, we have total rip-off issues between the government ripping us off, our own government, which they're criminals, which I've been saying for years, excuse me, and they ought to be prosecuted. And I'm going to tell you, when we start prosecuting these people that have been stealing for us on both sides of the aisle, which is disgusting, even worse, we will see these things start to change because they're not going to be able to take their money anymore. And these people are going to have to buck up. It's disgusting, Jeff. I don't even know what to say anymore. I was almost crying when you were reading that text.
It's heartbreaking. And, Mags, I would love to have Thune on this show. He wouldn't come on. He wouldn't have the guts to come on. But I would love to have Thune come on this show. I don't care. Schumer, Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, Mini Mike Johnson. I don't care. Anyone in the leadership, and read that text and say, why is it too controversial for us to get most favored nation treatment for our citizens? You can't pass a bill. So in other countries, because we're subsidizing it, they can pay, I don't know, $500 for this medication. But here we have to pay $7,000 for this medication. So why are citizens around the world more privileged than us? Why are you willing to give them deals that you wouldn't give to your own people? And the answer is obvious, because they're all on the take. They're all on the freaking take. Just follow the money. And that's why I think they should be ashamed of themselves. When they steal, they're really stealing from us. And they're stealing our children and our future. That's what they're really doing. So, Mags, look, I've got to ask you, are we now starting to see a sea change in the Republican Party? I'm not talking the leadership, obviously, but among Republican voters, where we're now becoming the pro-working class, pro-middle class party, where we want to give ordinary Americans cheaper prescription drugs, lower energy, lower gas, lower grocery prices. In other words, we're the party of the little person. The Democrats and the establishment on the GOP side, they're the party of the big, powerful interests. Am I wrong?
Jeff, you are 100% right, but I'm going to just phrase it a little bit differently, if you don't mind. We are the people for this country, the people that want to see America thrive, do better. We need to get rid of all these people that have been ripping us off. Okay? It's time for them to go, go, go. I'm done. And I know a lot of people have to be waking up because Trump is showing us on both sides of the aisle that the Democrats and the Republicans are both evil, and we need to get rid of all of these people that are willing to screw us and rip us off over and over again. Right, Jeff?
Drop the mic, as usual. Mags, please, you got to call more often. Don't be a stranger. 617, and thank you again for that call, Mags. 617-266-6868. Okay, let me ask you, do you support Trump's executive order? I'm just curious. lowering or dramatically reducing prescription medications and drug costs? Should it be made into law? And have we been unfairly subsidizing and financially supporting healthcare systems, socialist healthcare systems all over the world? And does this need to end? And above all, will cutting drug prices by 3, 4, 5 times, basically cutting your drug price costs in half, if not more, how much of a benefit is that for you and your family? I am very sorry. I don't know what else to say. I'm getting blown to pieces on Messenger, on email, on text. Jeff, you got to take better care of your health, for God's sake. This is ridiculous how many medications you're on. Look, I'm just being honest with all of you. I'm not going to pretend I'm on 1 or 2 when I'm really on 5 or 6 or maybe even 7 now. You know, yes, I'm eating better. I am exercising more. I'm watching what I eat. I'm watching my diet. But, you know, look, I don't want to have high blood pressure. Call me crazy. That's why I take the blood pressure pills. You know, I don't want my veins clogged with cholesterol. You know, I don't want to just drop dead of a stroke or a heart attack. So I do take the anti-cholesterol medication. You know, I got type 2 diabetes. I got to keep the sugar in line. I'm sorry. So I take the metformin and the insulin. Now, would I like to get off all of that? Of course, I'd love to. But, you know, I'm me. I'm not you. I don't know what else to say. 617-266-6868 is the number. I drive by the Golden Arches, and I start imagining a big, juicy Big Mac with extra sauce, large French fry, and a large Diet Coke, and something just overcomes me. It's like a demon possessing me. I don't know what else to tell you. I just turn the car around and go through that drive-through. You know, I'm sorry. 617-266-6868. George in Malden. Thanks for holding, George, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, one of the things we could do is, why don't you get all the donations that these senators and congressmen take from the pharmaceutical companies? And that would help people understand who's getting what from who.
That's a great point. And George, let me tell you what else they do. I promise I'll let you finish, George. But this is the legal corruption. It's legal, but it's corrupt. Okay. What they also do, and they do it with the big defense contractors as well, is that they put their spouses. I'm just going to give John Thune as an example. Now, I'm not saying he does it with Big Pharma, but I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if something like this happened. You take Thune's wife and you put her on the board of one of these big pharma companies. And so you pay her millions of dollars. So you see, the scam is, well, it's like what Biden did, right? You don't pay Biden. You don't pay the big guy. You pay a family member. But of course, it all goes to whatever. A cut goes to the big guy. So this is the racket in Congress. They have family members, spouses that they put on these boards. And that's where they rake in millions and millions and millions. So the money, they say, oh, no, it's not going to me. It's going to my wife. Well, yeah, but it's really going to you. So that's, Dick Morris has talked about this for decades. And he said that's one of the biggest ways they get rich. The other thing that they do, George, is very quick, is they pay you for a speech. So it's not as if, it's not a brown paper bag. You know, here's $500,000. John, wink, wink. You know which way we want you to vote, right? What they do is they'll say, no, John, in front of this group, in front of this policy group, in front of this organization, we would like for you to speak. But of course, your time is so valuable. So, well, you know, what do you charge? $100,000 a speech? Well, we got a couple of speaking engagements lined up for you. And so he comes there, he bloviates for an hour. And I'm not just picking on Thune. That's the racket. They all do that. And he picks up a couple $100,000, just like this. And, a couple 100,000 here, a couple 100,000 there. Before you know it, you're talking millions and millions. So that's the racket, George. It's not just the donation, which is, that's a powerful incentive. It's the other things they do. And then you can't vote against them. I mean, they've got their claws in you. And that, Tom Tillis, by the way, huge big pharma guy on the Republican side. Huge. McConnell, oh my God, it was legendary. It was legendary. You do have a few that buck the, they buck the trend. But, George, I'm telling you, you can count them on two hands. And to be fair, some are Democrats. This Ro Khanna in California does not take money from Big Pharma. That's why he's the only one with the bill. He can't get one Democrat or one Republican to join him. You have a Democrat. And by the way, he's a progressive Democrat. He's pretty much, pretty hard left. But he doesn't take pharma money. And he's like, yeah, why don't we codify this? This would be great. And so far, not one co-sponsor. Not one, George. But I digress. Please, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just feel that we got to find a way to have a law that Congress cannot do these things anymore. At least there are some people out there that are publishing what Pelosi does in a stock market. And it's got to be done. And we can't go along. Now, I think the president ought to bludgeon these guys about their financing of me getting from Congress. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, George. Great idea. Great idea. And I'm going to try to track down to get all the donations that Big Pharma gives to senators, Democrats, Republicans, Senate, House. You're going to be astonished. You're going to be, Jeff, I can't believe it. And they have the most powerful lobbying firm in D.C. People think it's the military-industrial complex, very powerful. Number 2 to Big Pharma. No one has that place locked down better than Big Pharma. Maria in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Maria, and welcome.
Hi, good morning, Jeff.
Hi.
If you think about it, when has Congress ever passed a law that benefits us, the people, and not them? It either has to be that they can exempt themselves from what they think is best for us, or they don't pass anything. I've said this for a while now. We are the Hunger Games. If you read those books, that's exactly what we live in. We pay for everything, and they live their best lives. No one gets into politics to help the people. They get into politics to take from the people. And we don't push anything. My husband is on a lot of medications also, and we used to get it from Canada. But it got too difficult to have our doctors, his doctors, write prescriptions to get them from Canada on a regular basis. So we came back to getting his medications here. But our politicians will tell you, "Oh no, we're here for you," but they're not. They get kickbacks from everyone, and the United States pays for everyone, just like we did with the COVID shot. Biden came straight out and said, "We the people are paying for the entire world for all of their shots." Why is it that we have to give all of our money to every hungry person on the planet? We have to pay for settling everybody on the planet. We have to pay for every time someone gets in a war. We have to pay to rebuild their country. We have to pay to help them fight. We have to pay for everything. No one gives us a break, and we don't demand it.
Maria, you're on fire. Really, I got to tell you, you're absolutely on fire. I think this could be the call of the week. Really, this is outstanding. I mean, you're dead on. And all I can do is add to what you said. I'm thinking when you said to me, have they ever passed a bill? Have they ever passed a bill? And I'm racking my brain and I'm thinking, well, Trump wanted the border wall. No, they wouldn't fund that. right? I mean, even now, the mass deportations, they haven't passed a bill to fund it. Trump says, I need a lot more resources. We're not passing that. So I'm just thinking over, the only thing, Maria, is maybe the Trump tax bill. You know, and now the current, his big, beautiful bill. Okay, this is from Sethan. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, on Messenger. And here it is. Okay, this is what they call drop the mic. This is the checkmate argument. Jeff, the very same HIV medication in India costs $300. In America, it costs $3,000. The exact same medication from the exact same pharmaceutical company. There's not an iota of difference. It's the exact same product. Literally 10 times cheaper in India than it is here. HIV. And Trump is saying, no. You're going to charge India $300. You're going to charge American American consumers, Americans who need HIV. You're going to charge them $300. If $300 is good enough for a billion people, whatever, billion some now in India, then it should be good enough for the 340 million here in the United States. Period. Full stop. To me, there's no counter argument to this. 617-266-6868. Wendy in Westford. Thanks for holding, Wendy, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. I'm a first-time caller to you, although I called Grace one other time.
Okay. Well, welcome, Wendy. Welcome.
I listen to you every morning. But I was going to talk on both sides. Niche pharmaceuticals, which aren't quite big, but then they get bought out by big pharma, spend millions of dollars in research and development. Then they have to go through study upon study worldwide to bring it to market through FDA. It takes years. Now I understand that they're really concerned because FDA has seen a lot of job cuts, and they're worried it's going to even take longer. However, I also, and I can't reference the study, but I heard a study had taken place within the last year that said the cost going up in the United States is because of the layers of bureaucracy and middlemen that are just pushing the cost higher and higher versus the other countries. And it's making the other countries less. That I heard on, it may have been one of your speakers. I'm sure I listen to your channel all the time. So I know I heard that study. I just don't know who did it. But I do think there's layers within the process. I also know on the pharmaceutical side, it takes years to bring a new drug to market.
Wendy, you're right. You're right on both counts. You're completely right. There's way too much red tape, which is what takes so long. You're right with the FDA and approving these medications. And by the way, a lot more red tape here than in other countries around the world. And that drives the cost up. It delays some of these drugs that are life-saving. Number one. Number two, it drives the cost up and up and up. So you're right. Bureaucracy, red tape, huge problem. And that's why Trump's executive order, to your second point, says we're going to go around the middleman now. The insurance companies, CVS, pharmacies, the retail pharmacies, where they do a markup, where they add costs just to line their pockets, they can get a piece of the pie. So from now on, under the executive order, it's the drug manufacturer and the drug company will sell their medication or prescription drug directly to the consumer. There is no middleman. The middleman is carved out. And it's incredible. We're talking 30, 40, 50, in some cases 80, 100% cheaper. I mean, it's night and day. So there's so much fat and, frankly, corruption in the whole system. And that's what Trump is trying to eliminate. And again, you would think Congress would be saying amen. Instead, Congress is saying no. Why? Follow the money. Wendy, thank you for that call. Phil in Raynham. Phil, I hate to do this to you. 1 minute left. Go.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. Senior citizens, the most vulnerable in the nation, and they're going to swipe off no tax on seniors. Trump, don't sign the bill. Do not screw over the seniors. We've been getting robbed and screwed for decades. This is unspeakable. Don't flinch. Don't blink an eye. This is just incredible, and they'll continue to steal our money, and at the same time tell us it's running out of money. We got murderers, rapists, and child molesters getting our Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Anybody with half a brain can see what's going on, and I'm really fed up. I'm fed up with this crap, and we've got one party in this nation.
Yeah, the Uniparty. No, you're dead on. Look, he promised no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. He's got to hold the line on all three. And if they take not just no tax on Social Security, any one of those three, they remove, veto the bill. All three have to be in. On that, I gotta go. Bye-bye.